What is up, YouTube? I'm Gauda874 here, bringing you guys Week 6 of APM's Fun League / Ubers League. This week we are taking Enrique, coach of the Dusseldorf Darmanitans. We are both going into this game with a 3-2 record. Now, before I get into the actual video portion of this video, I'll let you guys know that the Black Lives Matters links will still be in the description below. I had a big description last video and talked about it a lot. I'm going to have that description in the next few videos for a little bit while now. This is just the last time I'm going to be noting it in the videos, but it's still important no matter what, and it's pretty important that you guys help out in any way you possibly can. But about the video today, we are facing Enrique. He is one of the 3 people that can absolutely consistently kick my ass in Pokemon, and that is really scary and not a fun time to go up against. He beat me in the APM Gala tournament and then Season 3, Week 1 with a Bronzong that I didn't really prepare for. So that was a really fun time, not really, but hopefully we can try and beat him. Our matchup here actually isn't terrible. It could be better, but it's not that bad. It just sucks because he has stuff like a Lando T and a lot of annoying stuff. Like, think of almost every annoying mon you could throw together, and that is Enrique's team. And that is what we're going to be going over now. So, my opponent Enrique this week has a team consisting of Lunala, Libero Cinderace, Mega Kangaskhan, Lando T-Ozimus, Celesteela, Tangrowth, Milotic, Klefki, and Avalugg that can Dynamax. Now I expect my opponent to bring consist of Mega Kangaskhan, Lunala, Cinderace, Lando T, Celesteela, and Milotic. The only other mon I could see coming is Klefki. I think Avalugg does not have a good matchup, as well as I think Tangrowth has a really bad matchup. Klefki is a maybe just because of how annoying it is, and Spike's support could be really annoying for my team. But otherwise, these are the 6 I'm expecting him to bring. He actually has 3 Ubers, at least sort of. Let's talk about them. First off is the big one. It's Lunala. Lunala is very scary because it has Shadow Shield, which is just like multi-scale. It takes nothing from any one attack if it's at full HP, which is something I have to be very careful of. My Ghost Resist does not exist on this team, so switching into this thing is going to be very hard. Calm Mind or Specs is kind of what I'm expecting. Either or I could see coming. I don't think he's going to be running a mono attacking Ghost set. I think that's a little bit weird, even though Ghost is good against my team. But it is something that could be coming, like Calm Mind, like Roost, Rest, or something. I don't even know, to be honest. And look, the only good thing about this is that Weavile almost always revenges Lunala unless it has Agility on its set, which I think it's something it gets. So I do have to be a little bit careful about that, but as long as this thing is not speed boosted, then Weavile can almost always revenge it. The bigger threat, I think, the biggest threat is the Cinderace, Libero Cinderace. This thing is very hard to switch into. If it's banded, I do not have a switch into, and I have to deal with it offensively and with T-Spike support, because that is what I'm bringing. If my opponent does bring Court Change Heavy Duty Boots, then Cofagrigus can kind of hard wall it just because it needs that extra power from the band or whatever to deal with the Cofagrigus, though that makes it that T-Spikes could go up on my side, and that would be very scary as well. So regardless of what Cinderace set comes, it's going to put in work against my team. And then finally, Mega Kangaskhan is the last Uber. Cofagrigus hard walls it. It's not that hard to deal with. The one thing is that I cannot one-shot it with anything on my team, I don't think, so I do have to chip this thing down a bit before I can actually knock it out. But Kangaskhan, from an offensive standpoint, isn't too scary against my team just because I have stuff to deal with it. And those are my opponent's 3 Ubers. Everything else isn't really that scary on my opponent's team. It's a lot of annoying stuff again. Klefki with Prankster, Milotic's really fat, Tangrowth has regen if it comes. Celesteela on its own is just really annoying. That thing could be a little bit of a threat too, but I don't think it's going to be too big of a deal. Luckily, Tangrowth and Milotic aren't a big deal because I have a cool set that kind of shuts them down with the Pokemon this week. But that is my opponent's team. The game plan that I have this week is to set up T-Spikes as early as I can and get Xurkitree and Weavile to come in and just start clicking buttons against my opponent's team. And that is sort of what I'm going for this game. I'll explain that more when I get to those individual Pokemon. But what I'm bringing this week to this game consists of Shaman, Xurkitree, Ho-Oh, Cofagrigus, Weavile, and Latios. To start us off this week, we have a very important piece of our defensive backbone. It is Shaman. Shaman has mixed bulk but is more specially defensive, but holding the Rocky Helmet. Moves being Giga Drain, Hidden Power Fire, Lead Sheet, and Synthesis. Seeds are really good in this game because the only thing that doesn't like it is the Tangrowth, or can take it is Tangrowth, and Tangrowth doesn't really beat Shaman one-on-one just because I can always switch out if it has Toxic, and a Natural Cure will heal that off. Leech Seed's really good because since I'm very specially bulky, if that's like a bulky Celesteela, I can actually 1v1 it, which is sort of the goal here. And if it's offensive Celesteela, it won't be taking hits as well as it would like to in this matchup. This also comes in on Milotic and on Klefki. I can, like, Leech Seed, Hidden Power Fire them down, or Giga Drain respectfully. Lando T, it's a good switch into, unless it's like Bandit U-turn, then I have to be a little bit careful. I do have Rocky Helmet for the extra utility for the Lando. If it wants the U-turn out, at least I can get some chip on it. Same with the Mega Kangaskhan and Parental Bond. It's just one thing downside about Parental Bond is that I can switch in with Rocky Helmet, and they'll take 2 rounds of Rocky Helmet chip, which is something I'm sure they don't want to take. And then just this nice natural Spit F, so I can take hits from, maybe I can take a hit from Lunala, the Tango, the Milotic, as I've been saying. Natural Cure was just a really good ability in this game, to the point where the Shaman set could put in work with Leech Seed and Synthesis. So that is going to be the Shaman set this week. Second up is going to be Xurkitree. Xurkitree is a modest nature with the Shuka Berry, moves being Tail Glow, Volt Switch, Thunderbolt, and Hidden Power Ice. Tail Glow is not a mandatory thing this week. It was just an option if I had the option to set it up in the game for free. I'm going to click it, but this is more just to pivot around my opponent's team. Yes, his ground type is Lando, but I do have the Shuka for 2 reasons. A, it's to 1v1 Lando if I'm at full health, because I can, take an Earthquake and HP Ice it. Or if I want to get aggressive on Celesteela, I can switch in hard without fearing any type of Earthquake because I have the Shuka Berry. This speed investment lets me outspeed a Celesteela. And then, except for Lando, Thunderbolt is really spammable in this team. I know they have a Tangrowth, but I don't really expect Tangrowth to come. And if it does, it's going to be forced to be AV if it wants to be even taking HP Ice relatively well. So that is why Xurkitree is here. I just felt like, again, Tangrowth, I didn't really see it coming or having a good matchup, so I could always kind of click at least HP Ice or Electric moves against my opponent's team. But that is going to be Xurkitree. Third up is probably my favorite set we have on this team. It is Ho-Oh. We're running Special Ho-Oh for the first time in the season. It has leftovers with a decent amount of bulk, moves being Calm Mind, Sub, Flamethrower, and Giga Drain. I don't have Roost on the set, which is something that makes me a little bit uncomfortable, but the thing is here, a calc that I really saw that speaks my interest was that I'm assuming Milotic is going through the switch into Ho-Oh, assuming it would be physical in most cases. Well, if I can sub up as Milotic comes in, and then set up a Calm Mind, if it's no special tech Milotic, it never breaks my substitute. And that was something I really liked, and I can just Giga Drain all the health back and beat the Milotic down in a 1v1 scenario. So as long as Milotic's not in on Ho-Oh, while just in a 1v1, and I get a sub up, I can actually win that scenario, and that is something really cool. Flamethrower is there. I went special because I can beat Tangrowth and Evolug a lot easier. Klefki would be forced to run Spit Def, and if I'm behind a sub, then Klefki just doesn't beat Ho-Oh whatsoever. The Celesteela as well. If I get up to +1, basically, my opponent's going to have a really hard time breaking through this Ho-Oh, and it's going to be a serious problem for him. And I feel like that's going to be relatively easy just because I do feel like Milotic's going to come, and that is going to be the initial switch in. So hopefully Ho-Oh puts in work. I really do like the set a lot, and that is our third member of the team. Fourth up is going to be Cofagrigus. This has T-Spikes on it. It's very div with the leftovers. Moves being Hex, Body Press, Will-O-Wisp, T-Spikes. Goal is to get up T-Spikes as fast as I possibly can because my opponent does not appreciate them whatsoever. Hex is once everything's status, then it'll do a lot of damage. Body Press for standard Body Press. And Will-O-Wisp is there for the Lando. If Shaman's down, Cofagrigus can still take on the Lando semi-well. And if it sets up like an SD, I could just Wisp it. If it is going to be like a sub-SD Lando, that could be really scary, that is something I do have to fear. And I do have to be a little bit careful about that with this Cofagrigus set. But otherwise, it's just here to get up T-Spikes and just start clicking buttons afterwards and just hopefully not preventing stuff from setting up. That's what I'm trying to say. And that's just Cofagrigus in a nutshell. Not much else to say about it. Fifth up is our Lunala killer. It is Weavile. This has enough speed to outspeed Cinderace. It has Icicle Crash, Knockoff, Ice Shard, and Pursuit. We are allowed snapped moves in this league, so Pursuit is one of those. If that Lunala is getting out of hand with whatever, I can just Pursuit it or knock off it, whatever the case may be. And my opponent does not like knockoff. I know he does have good switch-ins like the Milotic, the Avalugg, Klefki, and Celesteela, but they really do not like their item being knocked off whatsoever, and that is just good progress for me if I can click that button. Plus I am banded, so it's still going to be doing a decent chunk to those Pokemon respectively. And then I have Ice Shard just in case it's Rock Polish Lando. So that's Weavile, and then finally we have Latios. This was kind of just a filler mon. It's a pivot on this team with Defog. This was because if the Cinderace does decide to be the court change set as opposed to banded, and they court change a T-spike onto my side, that is very good against my team. So I did want to be able to defog, get off at some point. I have Ice Beam, T-Bolt, and Shadow Ball, Bolt Beam. I did want Roost on the set, but Shadow Ball I really feel like I needed just because Lunala was really scary if Weavile went down or something like that. And just the extra coverage would be really nice. And then, Bolt Beam just for standard Bolt Beam coverage, just to chip stuff down a bit. And I just have a decent amount of bulk so I can lift some hits. But that is going to be the Latios set, and that is going to be the team builder this week. I'm really excited for this Ho-Oh set, and I feel like Weavile is going to put in a lot of work this game. I'm excited to use this team. Let's hit the Pokemon Showdown, and we're going to watch the battle. Alright, we are here on Pokemon Showdown, as I always say, and my opponent has shocked me, but made me very happy that they do not have a Cinderace, but they do have Tangrowth. Everything else I got right. I'm really happy to see this. Tangrowth is not that big of a problem. In regards to the lead, I'm going to lead off with Latios, just because it's not doing a crazy ton in this game, especially because I don't have to worry about T-Spikes now, so that's pretty cool. Unfortunately, they lead off with Kangaskhan, so I do have a hard counter to this and Cofagrigus, so I'm not too worried, but that kind of sucked as a lead. They're going to go for Toxic turn 1. Again, kind of sucks, but it's not the end of the world here. I can just fire off a T-Spike the following turn and get them up. As they go out hard into Milotic, that is quite fine. They're not going to take the T-Spike because they switched in first, but this means that they're going to have to be forced to defog with Lando later, or if Lunala has a defog with that, though I doubt Lunala is going to be holding defog. But that being up is going to be pretty important. I'm going to Latios now. I can take any hit from this Milotic as they just fire off a Scald. It's not doing too much, and I can fire off a T-Bolt. I am Expert Belt, so it is doing a decent chunk. This is a pretty fat Milotic. They did say they did misclick here, so I do apologize for that. So now I can T-Bolt spam a little bit more freely as they're forced to recover a little bit. I'm thinking maybe I can get a para, maybe I can get like a crit. I don't know. I'll just click this a few more times. It's not looking that way, so I do have Shaman here. I'm assuming at this point this moveset's going to be like Scald, Toxic, Haze, Recover, just because like set up on like the Ho-Oh maybe, or set up on the Latios as you just saw there. So yeah, they go in Tangrowth on my seeds. It's not going to do anything, but Tangrowth was poisoned, and that is the big thing here, and that is quite fine with me. I don't mind taking any hit from this Tangrowth with my Latios, even if they do click knockoff, which they do. Again, Latios isn't incredibly important. I can still fire off attacks with this thing. If my Milotic wants to come in, it's going to get poisoned, as they're just going to tank this Ice Beam. It's going to do a decent chunk. They're going to knock me off. I live on 3%, which is really nice, and I can just fire off another Ice Beam here. They're going to switch out and go into Celesteela. We're going to find out the Celesteela is Spadef, which it doesn't look the most Spadef. It's definitely bulk invested, but I don't think it's probably more defensive. I'm definitely not going to stay and give it a Beast Boost for free, so I'm going to go out hard in Circuitry, and I'm going to predict them to switch as they do, and they go on the Tangrowth. So I go for HP Ice, and that was a really nice prediction, because now I don't have to click HP Ice again. I can actually click Thunderbolt, and no way they're going to switch into Lando, as they just saw me click HP Ice. So I'm going to click Thunderbolt this turn as they save their Tangrowth and go into Kangaskhan, get poisoned, and take this T-Ball. So that was a really nice series of events there. I could T-Bolt again, predicting them to go for like a Toxic or something, but I'm actually just going to go into Cofagrigus as they throw up a Wish. So I could have stayed and clicked T-Bolt, but it's not the end of the world here. I believe I just Body Press here to try and get the KO as they go back out into Tangrowth, as that is exactly what I'm going to do. And unfortunately, this Tangrowth is going to live around a little bit longer than I would like, just because of regen and the fact that it got a Wish there. That kind of sucks, but now I'm going to switch on to Latios just to sack it to the knockoff that's probably coming my way, as it does, and Latios is going to go down. But now is a really good opportunity to send out my Ho-Oh and sub up. By the way, I would like to mention that this Tangrowth is Assault Vest, just to throw it out there, something I noticed when the Latios damage. I'm going to sub up as Milotic is the switch in, and this is a really good scenario to be in. I can set up a Calm Mind and hope that they do not have any Spatak investment into them. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to click Calm Mind and just hope that they do not break my substitute here, as they're going to click Scald, and it does not break my sub, and that is a really big turn, because now I can fire off a Giga Drain and do a load to this Milotic, and it is going to hurt at +1, since I am max Spatak modest, as that does a lot to the Milotic, and they're going to be hazing me. I don't have my boost, but this Milotic is now really low. They're going to be forced to either sack this Milotic or just take a big hit on something else. I'm just going to Calm Mind again as Lando comes in, and that is fine with me, as now I'm back up to +1/+1. I'm still behind a substitute, so I can fire off a Flamethrower for free. I could have subbed there predicting U-turn, but I didn't. I just fired off the Flamethrower as Milotic comes back in and is sacked. At least this way I do get my kill right away, so my melodic is going to go down. Lando is going to be able to come back in now for free here, and I'm assuming this thing is Scarf the way that was played there, but I'm not sure yet. I'm going to go on the Rodriguez. They're just going to click Rock Slide. It's not going to do too much. Ho is really good still for stuff like the Tangrowth, the Celesteal, and Lunala, so that's why I want to keep it. Rodriguez here, I'm just going to fire off a Will-O-Wisp. Maybe they would stay in, but they don't. Tangrowth coming in is not a big deal. I can just Hex this turn, and because you're going to see here, they knock me off, I'm going to take the Regenerator away because of Mummy, and that is going to be really helpful for me as I just fire off a Hex here, and it's going to do a solid 31%. And with the Poison, Tangrowth is low again, but this time they won't get regen on their switch out. So I'm going to sack off my Rodriguez. Kangaskhan's low enough to the point where I feel like I can deal with it in other ways, so I'm not really too worried about it. Tangrowth is really low, and now I can go on the Ho and do the same thing again. What I should have done is substitute here, but instead I just go for Flamethrower on the Lunala switch in. My opponent did tell me that they messed up this Lunala set. It should be Heavy Duty Boots, but they're a different item instead. So I apologize for that, as we're going to find out the item right now. That is hella specs. That does a lot of damage. I definitely could have made some better plays here, but I still stand by the play here. Now Lunala is really low. I decided I'm just going to fire off a Flamethrower again and risk the roll here. If they knock me out, at least Weavile can come in and revenge. But Lando comes in and takes a lot of chip from Flamethrower, and I'm pretty happy with that. And now I can save my Ho again for a Lunala switch in later. I'm going the Shaman. It's a nice switch into Lando as they set up rocks. I'm quite fine with that. I can fire off a Leech Seed for free here. A Celesteal is going to come in. Or I actually go for HP Fire first just to do some damage here. But now I'm going to go for the Leech Seed. The Hidden Power Fire was just to try and catch the Tangrowth. So that's why I tried to do that. This turn I'm going to click HP Fire again as they do go Tangrowth this time. So I do catch the Tangrowth and knock it out. So it is 4-4. It looks pretty close, but I'm feeling pretty good right now. The Shaman is looking really scary against my opponent's team. They click U-turn. I do have the helmet, which is really nice. I'm just going to click Synthesis, predicting the U-turn. What else is Lando going to do? As this is a really good scenario to be in. I do miss my seeds here. Kind of sucks. Not the end of the world. Gives them another U-turn, but again, I can just click Synthesis. Not that scary. And here, I'm predicting them to go for Wish, so I'm just going to click Giga Drain. If I click any other button and they attack me, I'm going to take damage. It's not going to be a good time. I don't want them just Wish protecting for no reason. So I decided to do that and knock out the Kangaskhan. Lunala comes in. Ho-Oh, while it's still good against like stuff like the Steela and Earthquake, Shaman's still an Earthquake switch in. So I'm going to sack off the Ho-Oh so I can get Weavile in for free here. So now it's 3-3, but Weavile has a free switch in, and it basically claims a kill, knowing that this thing is not Scarf. So that's why I'm going to go in the Weavile and just click Knockoff. Pursuit kills this, but Knockoff I think is just the better play here, as they just sack off the Lunala to the Weavile here, and things are looking really good. Shaman and Zergotry looks really nice here. I think this thing is Scarf at this point, so I'm going to switch out into the Shaman. They cannot take another round of Rocky Helmet, so if they want a U-turn, then they're going to die, as they just go for Earthquake. And this is looking really good. I just have to Leech Seed this down at this point. Celesteela is going to come in. I actually Synthesis up here just to get back up to full. Leech Seed goes off. Flamethrower's not doing much. They do crit me here, but I'm very Spadef Shaman. And now I can just spam like Leech Seed and Synthesis and all that good stuff. And at this point, I think the game is over. There's not much my opponent can do here, unless they're like sub Celesteela. But at this point, I don't think they are, as HP Fire is doing a decent chunk with Leech Seed. And yes, spoilers guys, we are going to win this game, as my opponent cannot break through the Shaman. We are going to win 3-0 against Enrique. And after getting our ass kicked the first 2 times against Enrique, we finally were able to defeat him. Granted, he did bring the wrong item on Lunala, so I do apologize for that. But regardless, anyway, GG to my opponent, Enrique. Heavy Duty Boots Lunala definitely would have been a game changer in this game. A Calm Mind War could have started against Ho-Oh. A Substitute could have been scary for Weavile. A whole bunch of different scenarios could have happened, and that would have been pretty scary. But T-Spikes were really good for stuff against like my opponent's defensive core. They did really good against Milotic and Tangrowth, and I was pretty happy with that. Shaman got 4 kills in this game, which is really impressive, and Ho-Oh worked out a lot better than I thought it would. It worked exactly like I thought. I could have played it a little bit better to the point where Ho-Oh could have got a lot more kills, but hey, it still did some work, and I'm happy with it. GG one more time to my opponent, Enrique. Thank you for the battle. I'm probably butchering your name. I'm pretty sure I've asked this before. But we finally beat him. We are going to move up to a 4-2 record, which is pretty good, but hopefully we can try and bump up a little bit more. We are in a playoff spot. We're like on the lower end, but we're like comfortably in the lower end, if it makes sense. So yeah, Next week we face Haunch. He's also 4-2, so our schedule just continues to be hard. He has a Zamazenta and an Arceus Electric as their Ubers, so that is something we have to go up against next week. Thank you guys for watching so much. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. If you like Pokemon Draft League content, consider subscribing to the channel. I'm gonna head out of here. Have a fantastic day, YouTube.